Of course, we're human and we make mistakes, right? That's part of life. And we make mistakes, usually the same mistakes, over and over and over again. And if I'm honest with myself, I'm really good at doing that. And I'm sure you resonate with that too. And sometimes there are mistakes that we can avoid just with foresight, just with having a friend on the journey, just to let you know where I went wrong, where you don't have to. You'll still probably do it anyway, but it's worth me saying it. So today I'm going to go into some dangers, or what it is that you shouldn't do when you awaken spiritually. As we go through a spiritual awakening, it's a very testing time, isn't it? Especially at the start of the awakening, when you don't really know what's going on yourself, especially if you have a Kundalini awakening where your mind is whisked away, your ego is whisked away in a split second of absolute bliss and ecstasy that comes up your spine and explodes out of your mouth and the top of your head. But also, if you're going through a spiritual awakening that's less abrupt, that doesn't erupt and explode in a firework awakening like mine did, or like others on this channel did, I still need to speak to you because it's a tough time, because we're learning things very fast. We're processing energetically lots of things through our body very fast. We're removing unconscious beliefs, and there are things that will hold you back, especially you'll get it from your friends and whatnot. And this is the first thing I want to talk about, one of the dangers that you'll have as you go through the spiritual awakening. One thing not to do as you awaken spiritually is to believe other people's projections. So what do I mean by that? Well, people always are projecting their views onto you, and we need to put up a really big wall to that, because as we do, if we don't, it's going to start harming your spiritual awakening process. Trust me, I've been through it. By that I mean you're going to spend a lot of time thinking about these negative things that people have put on you, that have projected onto you. For example, at the start I had somebody that used to tell me I have a very big ego, and I'm there thinking, you don't understand what ego is, but you're telling me that I have a big ego when I'm the one that's working to get rid of my ego. Now, he probably didn't even mean it, but it's a projection, isn't it? And we are sensitive people, usually, as we go through the spiritual awakening, and we usually take those things to be true. And that's dangerous, because then we're believing things that aren't true to us. And it takes us a while to, especially at the start, because we're quite slow at processing karma, it takes us a while to get over that and to really then get back to the issue at hand, which is removing the ego, rather than thinking about what somebody said about how big my ego is, you know? So be careful not to allow people to project. They're going to do it, but don't believe them, because it will harm and stagnate your growth. So the second thing I want to talk about is energy vampires. Be careful when you're around these people. What do I mean by energy vampires? Well, like vampires, they suck your blood, but they suck your energy. Really, they're people that are very draining, that are very, sometimes emotionally manipulative. They'll sometimes beat you about, shoot you down. They're very emotionally controlling in that sense, and they'll make you believe things about you that aren't true, and they drain you because they're tiring to be around. You feel this, you know it, you're an empath, you understand your energy, you're feeling into, you're noticing when your energy's higher and when your energy's lower, and who these people are that are perhaps draining your energy. I could give some really good examples, but I don't want to make it too personal, so I won't. And you'll know these people in your life, energy vampires. Stay away from them, because you'll drain your energy, and that energy is needed for you to grow spiritually, not to pussyfoot around with their issues that aren't really their issues. They're just, again, draining you, because that's how they gain their energy. It's a thrill for them, almost, somewhat. Another one for me is holding on to friendships that no longer serve you. You will have friends that come and go, especially as you go through the awakening. You'll probably cycle through friendships very, very quickly. Everyone will come into your life for a reason. There's a reason why they're there, usually because of the bad decisions you're making together, whether that's drugs, alcohol, emotional abuse, controlling. There's always two sides to it. You're both doing something in that relationship, and I only know this from my life, but once you feel like that's done in you, if you keep holding on to that relationship, you're then allowing another, you're basically saying to the universe, yeah, this is fine, bring more people like this in. And you don't need it, because you've already got enough going on. Once you've worked through the karma in that, let's call it control, because it was for me, if you're quite controlling, let's say you've worked through that and you're no longer controlling anymore, but this person still is, then you drop away from that relationship. You have to save yourself, because if you don't, and this person is still controlling you, or being controlling, and it's bringing your morale down, you're again draining energy that you need. Trust me, you know through your process of awakening, it's a tiring journey. So much is changing within you, and you need all of this energy that you're wasting on controlling people, or whatever it is for you, drugs, alcohol, blah blah blah, whatever it is. You need that energy within you to make good change in your life, to change your your life, your attitude, your perspective, your being, to increase the radiancy of your being, if we can speak like this. We need all of the energy that we can get. So I'm just giving some tips. You don't have to listen to me. I wouldn't listen to me, and you probably won't listen to me, even if it feels perhaps like these are the right things, because I know this, I'm totally guilty of being like, yeah, that sounds right for me, and then never doing it. And that's cool, because that's part of the journey too. We have to learn for ourselves, right? We can hear little tidbits of wisdom, little intuitions, and be like, yeah, that's a nice insight, I can use that in my life, and then we never do it. And that's fair enough. Like, who would listen to a crazy guy on the internet, right? We have to know it for ourselves, and we learn through making mistakes. And these are just some of the mistakes that I've made, and I hope that you don't have to make them, even though you probably still will. But that's life, right? Oh, yeah, here's another one. So I've got some notes, I'm just reading them. Staying in jobs longer than you should. For example, I was working at a law firm, and I stayed there longer than I needed to. The legal field was fun, it was exciting for me, the money was good as well, and that's what I liked. But I was in that for the wrong reasons, wasn't I? When I think back on it, like it's an ego trip for the money, for the fame, for the plaudits, for the I love this, it makes me feel powerful kind of thing. And I'm meeting exciting people, yes, but why am I here? Am I here for this self-image, meaning ego? Am I here for this self-image, or is this really what I want to do? Is my heart yearning and burning for this with passion and bliss and ecstasy? And my answer to myself was really no. But I stayed in the job longer than I should have done, because the money was good and I was too scared. It's this whole I'm not good enough wound. Too scared to leave and really change my life. Obviously that changed. Hi, I'm here now teaching yoga and speaking to businesses, etc. about these things. So, and that's a lot more profitable, especially emotionally, for me than the other work was. So it's something to think about if that's where you're at. I'm not saying quit your job. You have to take responsibility for your life and your actions. But if something's not serving you, don't stay in it, because it's a waste of energy. It's a draining environment. You need something that energises you, right? Well, you don't need to. It's pure life. You do what you want. If you want something that energises you, go and find it. There was a really good saying, actually, that took me very far in this process of leaving that job, and it was, jump off a cliff if you believe that there's a parachute there to catch you. Meaning, quit your job if you believe and know that there's something else there out there for you. Obviously, don't jump if you don't believe that there's a parachute, because, well, we all know what happens when you do that. You'll die, not literally, but you might land on your feet, but they'll be crushed. So, use your intuition. It's a good moment to start training that intuition. Speaking of intuition, here's another one. Not trusting your intuition. So you definitely, as you wake up through your awakening, it's difficult to trust your intuition, because we've been battered and bruised through our conditioning all of our lives. Not trusting our gut, not trusting our inner feeling sense, because it's not concrete, is it? We don't know it, although we do know it, and we should listen to that knowing feeling. It's always right for you. Always. And if you don't listen to it, you'll get hurt. For example, I started dating a girl once, and my intuition wasn't into it. I knew it. There was a feeling in me that was like, you're not right for me. But I did it anyway. And I kept pushing, even though I knew that this was not going to, because I wanted it with my mind, even though I knew that this wasn't going to be right for me. And, of course, it ended in heartbreak. Listen to your intuition, especially as you're beginning to awaken, because it's your intuition that will then help you help others too. When you begin teaching, in whatever form you do, because you likely will, because you're a light worker, right? You'll need your intuition. You'll need to know who to trust, who not to trust, especially if you're working in businesses as well, because those can be, you can be very naive, especially if you're a spiritual person in a business situation, and you can get taken advantage of. I don't say that to mock you and to belittle you, but I had that with me. That was my experience. I've been scammed, conned. I'm strong now. I feel like it won't happen again, because you learn from the mistakes, and then you don't have to make the mistakes again. And this is one mistake that's really important not to make, if you can, when you're going through a spiritual awakening, and that is to always trust your intuition. And learn that when you don't trust your intuition, things always go wrong. That's the lesson for me. Oh yes, the final one, the sixth reason, the sixth thing that you should never do when you awaken spiritually is to hold on to tendencies that no longer serve you. Be that alcohol, be that addiction, be that negative people in your life, be that people pleasing. That's a big one, because that's such an energy drainer, isn't it? You know that in your life, I'm sure. People pleasing, codependency as well on another person, feeling like you're dependent on them being there for your sense of self-worth. When we look back at it, it's like, oh, I really did do that. Why? It makes no sense when you become a singular individual that's empowered enough in oneself, and we're all getting there, right? We're all on our journey, and that's part of it. But dropping those tendencies away, they're like the baggage as we take off in our rocket ship. It's like dropping, like the rocket ship does, it has to drop the heavy weight, doesn't it? And those heavy weights are our tendencies and our limiting beliefs, and we have to drop these things so that we can soar. Cringy, I know. Cheesy, I know. But damn true. Also included in those tendencies are control, if we're doing that, manipulation. Give up control on everything. Why not? Give it a go, see how it works. It's worked quite nicely for me. Of course, I still am controlling sometimes in some things. Nobody's ever perfect. I still try and control how this message comes out. You know, but it's subtler now. It's not evil, it's not sinister sorts of control. Anyway, that'll do. If you want, down below there is a free breathing practice. It's called Cosmic Double Breathing. It will oxygenate your entire system. It will relax your body, energize your nervous system. And in essence, that will open, I would say, awaken a bit of bliss inside of you and open up a space from which we can just feel really good about ourselves. Give it a go. It's free. You have to sign up, but it's free. And if you wish, down below, you're more than welcome to join in with the Dark Night of the Soul sadhana. It's the sadhana that I did. It's called the Awakening Accelerator course. It works. It's not expensive. If you're in the Dark Night of the Soul and you're worried about how long it's going to go on for, because it can if you don't do the right work, and the pain's too much for you, then just take up the sadhana. It's super cheap, especially considering what I paid for it. But again, that's up to you. Use your intuition, right? If it feels right for you, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.